Welcome to the Books for Athletes podcast with your host, the publisher, Mr. Kelly Cole. Mr. Cole, a former athlete and best-selling author himself, has set out to take you behind the scenes of some of sports' forgotten heroes. He sits down with former professional athletes, college athletes, and sports coaches as they share stories of triumph, defeat, dedication, and perseverance. Here's Kelly.
What's up, everybody? It's the publisher here, Mr. Kelly Cole, back with another episode of Books for Athletes podcast. Today, I got a special guest. And when I say a special guest, I know everybody says that, but I mean that about this guy. This guy is literally, you know how people talk about your ideal clients or your ideal people to work with? Like, he set the bar so high, and I wish all of my clients was like this guy. Welcome to the podcast, my man, Tyler Campbell. What's up, bro?
Hey, man, what's up? I'm going to call him Coach, man. What's up, Coach?
How you doing?
Man, hey, I'm doing great, brother. An honor and an amazing privilege, man. This thing is going to be amazing. I'm excited, bro, because I'm going to get to learn about all the authors soon to come. You know what I mean? So let's go.
For sure, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this, man. I know how it is when you got babies and all that, bro.
Hey, it's not on our time, right? No
That's
more
it.
on our time.
That's it. I'm so glad mine are grown. I don't know what to do, bro.
Hey, listen, diapers still cost, bro. That's all I can say. Diapers still
Yeah. Only one of mine is married. They told me about 2-3 years before they have a grandbaby. But until then, we good, man.
Hey, that's solid, man. Those are beautiful times, bro. That's beautiful times, Coach.
For sure, man. So real quick, man, let's jump into it. Tell the people, who is Tyler Campbell in your own words?
Man, so in my own words, first and foremost, I've always tell people a man after God's own heart, a proud father, let me get the order right, Kelly, a proud husband, and a proud father. And last to all of those things, I am an inspirational speaker, somebody who's a multiple sclerosis ambassador would be the title. And that kind of launched me on the platform of public speaking. I became the first person to ever play Division I college football with multiple sclerosis. And for those who don't know, that's an autoimmune disease. That means my body literally attacks itself. My body is its worst enemy. And I live with holes on my brain, which leads to paralysis, constant pain, fatigue, a host of issues that come with this disease. And there is no cure, Coach. But at the same time, I recognize there's a gap in the MS community. There is a gap in the Black community in terms of who knows about MS and how we go about handling multiple sclerosis. And when I was diagnosed, I was alone. And from that moment, that vision of being somebody who could bridge a gap, that became my mission. And that's what ultimately led us to being able to connect, furthering the voice and just creating awareness for MS. You know what I'm saying?
That's awesome. I mean, the amazing thing about hearing that, you would never know it. Like if I just met you and I had no clue, like when we first connected, I had no clue you had MS, about your story, and you don't carry yourself that way. So, but let's back up before we get into that.
Go ahead.
I know family is very, very important to you.
Yeah, it is.
Just based on how, we see you live your life. Where did that come from? That love for family and
that I think it's from my grandmother, Ann Campbell, Lord rest her soul, a single mom whose husband died on her from a heart attack, and she was forced to raise 11 children on her own. Wow. And to her credit, the thing she's most proud of is the fact that none of her children went to jail ever. As a mother of Black young men and young women in the country, in rural Texas, in the deep South of East Texas, she's proud none of her children ever went to jail. And that's what she hangs her hat on. And so upbringing, that's where it started. My father, Earl Campbell, NFL Hall of Famer, Heisman Trophy winner. But at the end of the day, those family values are what kept him whole. Those family values that he was able to instill in us, even though he didn't have a father for long in his life. Bro, he passed those things down. And it was always about leaving things better than the way you found them. Be a servant to help other people. Don't be selfish to go after your own ambition, because if you help other people, the man up above will always supply what you need. So it's like, don't worry if you don't have it now, because that's a want that you're trying to fulfill.
Yeah.
What's going to circle around and happen is you're going to get what you need, but you ain't going to get there if you're trying to go I instead of we. And that's kind of where those things started. Because a lot of times we so quick to get to where we want to be.
Yeah.
But man, people forget, like, bro, it's so much more fulfilling, and you'll get what you need if you can help somebody else in turn get where they need to be. And people don't forget that in a world where things are so much it actually stands out even further when you try to help somebody.
For sure.
That's what's crazy.
Yep. Which is why we connect, bro. Which is why we connect. That's how I live every day, bro.
Yeah.
How I live. That's what it's about, man. You mentioned your dad.
Yes.
I just got my copy of the book.
Let's go.
I got the paperback and the hardback.
Let's go.
I just got mine.
I can't wait to sign them, bro. I can't wait.
Listen, I can't wait for you to sign them. I got another thing I want you to sign too. So do you see those jersey things on my wall?
Yeah, man. Been seeing them since we got on.
So those are actually prints. Those are not actually jerseys. Those are actually pictures. And I created one with your jersey, bro. I can't wait for you to sign it.
Man, that's crazy. Hey, fool me, coach. Y'all looking at that junk? That junk look live.
Yep. It's so I gotta get you to sign me one. But back to what I was gonna say.
Yes,
what
sir.
did it feel like to hear your father, what he wrote about you in the book, about the things you got from just watching him? And he said you pulled the best things out of him. What did that feel like, bro?
As a father now, the first thing it did was remind me that my babies are watching me, Kelly.
Yep.
Like, you hear it, but that was further affirmation. Like, that's real. Yep. Okay. Because there are things that I picked up that he didn't think I was. And he told me that. He said, son, I didn't really think you were paying attention when that happened. And I can tell him the exact dates and what was going on when I took notes of those characteristics that he displayed. Like, I remember all that. And then here's the deal. You can look at pictures and you can see a level of love from a person. Think about it, bro. If you on here, you lost somebody, or you got a picture with your mom, you got a picture with your dad, your brothers, and the pictures, you start to think then, what is that person thinking in this picture? What is that person, what was going through their mind? What were they saying? Yeah. And you wish you had their words. So it's like you got the picture, but then you wish you had their words. Yeah. I can look at pictures and I never have to wonder what my dad was thinking when it comes to he and I in pictures we have together, because he put them in my forward. Yeah. And for me, it was such a proud moment because it's everything you had hoped a book to be. Was those words, nobody could ever take them away from me and what my father wrote about me. Not my brother, look, Kelly, not my mama, not my brother, not my wife. No, my dad wrote those words for me. Yeah. And they will forever live in my heart. And honestly, Kelly, it's one of my more favorite parts of the book, the first couple of pages, because my dad is a speech major, so he's good with communicating. But I think that was the first non-judgmental, quiet, just place to really sit in it and get it all out. You know, sometimes we get in front of people and we forget what we're going to say, but he let his heart speak. Yeah. And for that, I told him, man, forever grateful and love you, Dad. He don't ever have to do nothing for me, Kelly, ever again. It's in the first couple pages.
That's awesome, man. And you could feel it. You could feel the love. You could feel the, like you said, his heart speaking. Mm-hmm. And that's why I want to touch on that. So growing up, did you know who your father was, or when did that click in? Yeah, man. I would say I learned from my friends' parents. I think I started, I thought our family owns a meat business. My dad started that in 1991. I was 5 years old. Okay. When he started the business. So I thought meat was what we did. I thought sausage business and those things, that's what we did. That's what my dad did. My dad was in supermarkets doing demos and cooking products and going to food shows and traveling Monday through Thursday, be home Friday. Yeah. I thought that's what we did. And so
when I started, I'll never forget, I was in the second grade. So that puts me at 6 turning 7 because I was a year behind everybody else. And I had a friend named John, and his parents popped in the VHS tape. And that was my dad. Monday Night Football against the Miami Dolphins, a record-setting night for him. And they had it on VHS. And they were like, "There's your dad." And I was like, "Nah, we sell sausage." You know what I'm saying? That's what we do. And I went home, told my dad, like, "Man, Dad, they say you're this famous football player. You gotta understand, Kelly, like my dad, good friends with Willie Nelson. That's Uncle Willie to me. I see my dad jamming country music as a black man. He wear cowboy boots, Wrangler jeans. We sell sausage. You know what I'm saying? My dad ride horses. That's not what I see and know, you know. Right. And then he started to break it down. Like, yeah, like this is, yeah, like that's what. And I was like, oh my gosh. I didn't think it was real until there were books about him in the library at my elementary school.
Yeah.
The Houston Oilers had a book. And I remember somebody wrote a biography on Earl Campbell early on. It was a brown book. And that was my dad.
Wow.
So I was piecing it in. He never talked like that about himself.
That's so dope, bro. So did your love for the game of football come from your dad, or where did that come from?
No, so I think it's just a kid growing up in Texas. Like I tell people all the time, in one way, shape, or form, most of the time, if you have a boy in this state, he gonna end up either trying football, thinking about football, or just being all in football. And back in those days, we used to play yard football. And so I used to get on my bike, have my friends out, get out of school. I'm biking. Mama said, come home before the lights, street lights turned on. Yeah. And it was, we played yard football. And when it got to, yard football got tired, we picked up a basketball. I played football not until 7th grade. So I played yard football like all my life until 7th grade because my dad wouldn't let me play. So I fell in love with basketball, honestly. I mean, I started playing football, but basketball was really the first love,
So why didn't your dad want you to play football?
His thing was, people think it's the injury, and I think a little bit had to do with injury, but the most of it was the overall casting of a shadow of Earl Campbell. He wanted his kids to feel no pressure.
Yeah.
He didn't want the kids to have to go through the media because he knew that we were going to have to start being a part of news interviews. He knew we were going to, not even if we were amazing, it was just the overall headline.
Yeah.
Earl Campbell's son.
Yeah.
And so that's really what it was. And then on top of that, he wanted kids that would teach him something new, Kelly. He had done football. He went from the lowest of the lows and climbed to the mountaintop and Hall of Fame and Heisman Trophy winner. You can do something new. Yeah. And those, I would say in that order, that's what he wanted, just for us to have our own thing, like he had his own thing, and for people to see us authentically instead of seeing us, but seeing him, to try to use us to get to him. You know what I mean?
Got it. So did it come to a point to where you had to choose between basketball and football, or did you play both during high school?
Yeah, I think I stopped growing height-wise, like in the 9th grade. Like I was I was 6'1", and I played power forward. And then them dudes started becoming like 6'4" and 6'5", 6'5", bro. The writing was on the wall, Kelly. Like I could dunk, but that ain't good enough to play in the post. And I didn't have no handles. That's when like them and one basketball commercials is coming out where people is like dribbling, hot sizzle. Yeah, and so you had to learn how to handle, you know what I mean? And I didn't have no handles. And so I quickly learned my freshman year, like, you got to be all in on football because football is going to get you a scholarship. You can hoop anytime. You can pick up a ball and hoop, but that ain't going to get you a scholarship, bro. And my thing was always to not have my parents pay for school. That was very important for me. So I picked the ball. Hey, one ball. One ball is what it was.
That's good.
Yeah.
So how was your high school career? How did your high school career go?
I got lucky, man. Blessed. Because of my teammates. I came from a very well-known high school here, Westlake High School. We were the first school in Texas to have a jumbotron, selling out 10,000 plus at home. So a very well known high school football program in the state. And because of my coaches, because of my teammates, after my junior year, I was ranked by Rivals.com as the number 2 running back in the state of Texas for my junior class.
Wow.
So Adrian Peterson was number 1. He was the number 1 recruit in all of the country, by the way. And then for the state of Texas, he was also number 1 in Texas. I was the number 2 running back, the number 32 overall prospect in the state. And that was just a big deal because our state is big in just producing, football athletes. You know what I mean? And so it was a very special moment for me. I was an ugly duckling, Kelly. So I wasn't good when I played. It took all those years of getting to junior in high school where things kind of finally popped. So you heard of late bloomers, man. I was a late bloomer.
Wow. Tell me about that. Let's dig deeper into that.
Yeah.
So what clicked? What changed? And what was your career before it clicked for you? And what did it end up in?
I just, I come from an athletic family. So my brother, it clicked for him immediately. Our brother was 4 years older than me. It clicked. I mean, he got a track scholarship to South Carolina. First time he ever picked up a pigskin, he scored an 80-yard touchdown run. I mean, it just clicked for him.
Right.
For me, that was not the case. Not as athletically gifted. I was also a year behind everybody, puberty-wise. So it just took time. I played scared. This wasn't yard football in middle school when you first play for your school and hit pads. So as an 11-year-old, I was terrified, man. Honestly, Kelly, it took about 3 years worth of football to just be like, no, I'm going to deal out punishment. I'm going to deal out punishment. I'm going to deal out punishment. And it's not going to hurt. And I'm going to hit somebody before they hit me. Like that took 3 years to develop that. And the trash talk was there. I'm only one of the few black kids on the team, so everywhere we went, everybody knew who I was. And so those were just really tough years of my life because it was expected to be good. And I just wasn't, Kelly. I also was gifted one of the greatest things in the world, which was my brother told me, Tyler, I don't get out here and it just is easy. It looks easy because I work really hard at what I do. And when he told me that, it started to click for me my freshman year on in high school. And I just developed work ethic and just put your head down and work. And the more I learned about my father, I learned about my brother. Like that's really the commonality between us historically as a family. My father grew up on sharecroppers' land, meaning like his family picked cotton and peeled roses, and they took wages based off of what they picked. And, that helped them pay for land ownership. So they were sharecroppers. So I come from family who is used to back breaking Texas heat, calloused hands and feet work.
Yeah.
And so once I recognized that that's kind of a product of who I am, I noticed that when I worked at something, I didn't get tired at it. And that was the ticket. It wasn't athletic ability. It was just get in here and outwork people and you'll have the product of what you want. And that's really what changed the game for me and led to, my teammates and coaches. But that junior year, I put in a heck of a lot of work that off season as well through the summer, and it yielded the result that I hoped. And man, that's honestly it, Kelly. I don't have no secret remedy for nothing.
Hey, it's the publisher here, Mr. Kelly Cole. Listen, if you are a former professional athlete, if you are a former college athlete or sports coach, and you're looking to launch your speaking career, let me tell you, you need a book. If you're already out there speaking and you want to track more high-paid speaking engagements, you need a book. It's not about creating more content to post on social media. It's not about recording a bunch of videos. It's not about doing more podcasts. The number one secret to attracting more high-paid speaking engagements or even launching your speaking career is a book. Hey, I'm the publisher, Mr. Kelly Cole, and I help former athletes and sports coaches create best-selling books in 30 days to launch their speaking career, even if they hate writing and don't know where to start. So for the first time ever, I've created a free case study video that will not only show you how to write a book from scratch in as little as 30 days and become a best-selling author, it will also show you how to attract more high-paid speaking engagements. Now, to check out this free case study video, click the link that says learn more or go to booksforathletes.com. Real quick before you go, do not go if you're not a former athlete or sports coach, because you won't find any value in what I'm about to share. And don't go if your book is already out and already on Amazon. You won't find any value in what I share over there. But if you are a former athlete or sports coach, know that you need a book, or already out there speaking and you want to launch your speaking career, go check out that link now. Writing a book is not as hard as you think. It doesn't even matter if you don't know where to start. My case study video will show you how to start and get it done and onto the bestsellers list. So go now.
No.
That's it, bro. That's the key to everything, bro. That's the key to everything. And it the thing I love about it is I always say that football taught me so many different things, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of those things, that hard work and overcoming the adversity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me, it was crazy because I moved from Chicago to Virginia.
That's different, bro.
Yeah. So, and just imagine going from Chicago, where you're a starter as a freshman, getting ready to move up to varsity as a sophomore. Our freshman team, we were all staying together. We had just won the freshman championship. They were moving us all to varsity. My dad comes home and says, yep, we're moving to Virginia. And in the championship game, bro.
In the
championship game, I scored a 70-yard touchdown from the defensive end position.
Wow. Kelly.
So we balling. So I'm ready to move up and to move to Virginia, bro. And they don't even put me in practice, bro. No reps.
Wow, Kelly. That's demoralizing, bro. I already know.
No reps.
My heart sink already, Kelly.
And I literally, man, coming home crying to my dad every day. And he was like, look, I don't play football. He said, you play football.
Mm-hmm.
You got to figure it out.
You got to figure it out, man.
He said, whenever they put you in, they have to put you in. He said, take that out on whoever they put in front of you. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what I did. I finally got my shot my junior year. I ended up winning Defensive Player of the Year. Senior year, broke my foot the first scrimmage of the year. Missed 2 games, came back, still led the team in tackles and got most valuable player.
Kelly.
Broke my foot. I played the whole year with a broken foot.
Oh my gosh, bruh.
Whole year. Thought I was going to roll that over to college, man. Just thought I was just going to be the man in college.
Yeah.
I went to a D2 school called University of Virginia at Wise. And my dad told me before I went, because my dad was a McDonald's High School All-American in basketball.
Wow.
He was like, you ain't working out. He was like, that little trophy don't mean nothing when you go to college. That's another level.
Regardless of the level.
He played D1. So I go to college, man. I'm thinking I'm going to be the man, bro. Every freshman in my dorm was the MVP at their school.
Yes, sir. Every one of them. I believe it. I believe it, Kelly.
Those 3 practices a day, those meetings, none of it, bro. That's when I figured out I didn't love football as much as I thought I did.
It happens all the time, though, Kelly. Tell the truth, shame the devil, man. It happens all the time. That's at the different levels. Everybody's always somebody already.
And, you know, in school, a lot of people just playing for fun and you know, you stand out. But, man, when I got to college, that's when I realized. So tell me about your senior year and when will you get recruited? How many offers and all that stuff did you get?
Yeah, I never kept track of the offers in total. Because I remember, I will remember this, Kelly. My first offer was Baylor University. That was my first offer. But I also never forget, just the tides turned. I went from being somebody who nobody cared about to now getting looked at. And that was I tell people all the time, go through that recruiting process, Kelly, just enjoy it because it feels good to be wanted,
Yeah.
And I went from being that person that was being made fun of to now being wanted. And I honestly did not know how to handle being wanted. I was used to like flying down the radar, keeping my head down. I do this. Nobody cares about what I'm doing because nobody expects what I'm doing. And so that was a comfortable role for me. When you start getting mail and Tyrone Willingham hits you up from Notre Dame University, one of the few Black coaches at the time in my tenure, and you're getting calls from Missouri and Arizona State, and Texas A&M, and my dad's telling me, don't go to A&M. I said, why, Dad? Why shouldn't I go to A&M? He said, don't go there because they're going to make it about me because I went to Texas, and it'll put you in a bad position going in there as a freshman. So you don't want to go there. And it's not that they're the Aggies and I went to Texas, had nothing to do with that. You'll just make it that much harder for you just to fit in and be accepted. And he said, I don't want that for you. So it was like all that stuff, Kelly. The phone calls, and I didn't know how to handle that. And the success ended up being my biggest downfall. I wish I could tell you that I was prepared for it. I saw my brother get recruited. I saw what it looked like. But when my stuff started happening, the other side of me just didn't know how to. And I was very, very overwhelmed with the success.
Yeah.
Then you start to feel invisible with success. And to handle myself emotionally, I used to drink a lot, Secret Sevens gin, and I ended up getting caught by the police during my junior recruiting year, my best recruiting year. I ended up getting caught by the police and sent to the alternative system. And so that kind of rigged my recruitment in a way. To being sent to the alternative system, my dad made me call every single coach, Kelly, whether they were somebody who just sent in the mail, typed up mail, whether they were somebody who offered scholarships, whether they were it didn't matter. Wherever I was getting mail from, I had to call every single coach who was recruiting me and tell them I was being sent to the alternative system, that I wouldn't be able to attend any of their camps in the spring or the summertime, and that I'm having to get myself together, and football is not a priority for me anymore.
Wow.
And so hiding recruitment, getting the phone calls when they can call you during the junior hours of the off season, and you're getting invited to your junior camps, and will you be there, and talking to these amazing coaches. I even went so far as to start sending my tapes to schools who weren't recruiting me just to see if I could get scholarships from them. I remember sending film to San Diego State University, and I got a scholarship. They had never recruited me a day in my life, but I loved their colors, and I loved In-N-Out Burger. I had heard of it. We didn't have it in Texas, but they had it over there. I hadn't seen the ocean vividly with my own eyes. I've seen the Gulf of Mexico down here in Texas, but I had never seen the the Pacific Ocean. Yeah. I sent my film out there, and I knew I was good because a little while after that, I had a scholarship from San Diego State University. Wow. So it was like all this success was coming my way, and I just didn't know how to handle it, Kelly. Wow. I did not know how to handle it.
Yeah, because that was going to be my question. Like, how did you handle it? And so you said you started drinking. The pressure of now you were feeling like you were the man, or what happened? Why did you start drinking?
Just now you get the notoriety. And then I found out that I just wanted to escape a lot of it. So don't get me wrong. It's like you want to get noticed. Yeah. But then there's a level of responsibility that also comes with getting noticed. It can feel overwhelming at times. Yeah. And then you start to think you can just get away with stuff. And so it was a combination of just wanting to push the set it and forget it button. And instead of having something else, instead of turning to my books, instead of turning to my comic books, instead of turning to those things that have always been with me since I was a child, those things I started to let go of when success started to come. So I started to change, and I found an outlet in alcohol that was the wrong way to go. Should have been just stayed my book nerd self like I've always been. Yeah,
I say we all got some of those stories, but
yeah, man.
So did you end up playing a senior year, and how you end up at San Diego State?
Yeah, so I played a senior year, but it was crazy, Kelly, because I had a better senior year than my junior year. We made it further in the playoffs than my junior year. My phone barely rang.
Wow.
My phone barely rang. By the time my recruitment was over, Kelly, they had marked me all the way down. Rivals.com had marked me to a 2-star.
Wow.
I was in the Midland 66, which was like Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Colorado, Iowa. I was number 52 overall in that category as a junior.
Wow.
So everybody on these lists had scholarships or had declared where they were going to school by the time their senior year hit.
Yeah.
I was the only one. I was the only one who ended up being on that list that didn't have a place to go to school.
Wow.
Out of all those states, like I was on the list, but didn't have a scholarship. So that just kind of goes to show you. And I don't blame anybody. You know, I think that was the good Lord's will. And as a matter of fact, that was a saving grace, because all the walls of life came crashing down. I clinged harder to the Lord, got a relationship with him, gave my life to him.
Yeah.
And it was a reminder that it doesn't get easier when you give your life to him. In fact, it got harder. So I graduated. I had to go to a junior college. Okay. I chose to go to Pasadena City College. Jackie Robinson had went there. Okay. John Singleton had went there. And these are monumental people in my life. Boys in the Hood. Come on, Kelly. It don't get no bigger. I mean, we all know at that generation of what that movie meant. We know who John Singleton is, and Jackie Robinson, say less. It taught me Jackie Robinson went to a junior college before he went to UCLA.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, put your pride aside. You love San Diego State. I recognized through that process how much I wanted to go to San Diego State because they dropped me in my scholarship, like other schools did too. And I recognized that that's where I wanted to be. Like I was laser intent, like no question. I need to go to California. I need to get to SDSU. And I'll go through a junior college to get there. Yeah. And mama, I promise you, you won't have to pay for my school. And so I went to a junior college, and that's how I ended up getting to San Diego State University. I was a year in JC. And after my year was up, I got a scholarship offer that summer to go to San Diego State University. But it was tough sledding, but that's my spiritual connection with the Lord. It was founded there. It was founded based off of a rocky life, off of embarrassing my family, off of being in a school where kids are going to Harvard and Yale out of high school and all these other amazing schools. And I had to humble myself as one of the few Black students and go to a junior college. I fought with what I wanted. There's no scholarships in junior college. You bet on yourself. And I had a dream, and the Lord blessed me to get there. Yeah. But I had a lot of work he had to do on me to reap the blessing. That's the main thing, you know. We may want it, but it might not. If I had gotten it right out of high school, Kelly, I probably would have made the same mistake and got kicked out of San Diego State University and been right back home because I hadn't learned how to balance, you know, giving up alcohol or be a good teammate and focus on honoring my scholarship. I feel like if I'd have got to SDSU first, like I planned, or any institution, I probably would have been out of there my freshman year. Wow. I would have done something stupid. Wow. Yeah, man, knows, for sure.
He always knows.
That I'm thankful he knows, bro. I would have screwed it up, Kelly.
Yeah, man. So tell me about your dream coming true, man. What was it like for that dream to come true? The Lord bless you. He made a way. Yeah. And start to realize that it was him. Like, tell me about that. How did it come about?
For me, I began to just value relationships. I think that's what it taught me. It was when you have conversations with people, meet them where they are. Like I learned so much through my trial, like just to slow down life and appreciate people and love people, no matter what they come from, no matter what they look like, no matter their race. Love people and learn something about people because everybody's a best written novel yet to be discovered, right? So learn. And as I learned from people, I recognized there was no conversation I couldn't have. Yeah, you came from Compton. Yeah, you a blood over here. You a Crip over here. I'm from the suburbs, the west side of Austin, with a few Black kids. I was raised around a bunch of white people. Right. But because I'm invested in our conversation and you as a person, and I see you, by that I mean I see your heart. Yeah. Those are the things I learned along the journey. So when I got to SDSU, it wasn't even about football no more. Yeah. I was at SDSU trying to learn from people, So that way I could walk into a room and never, based off of how you grew up, based off of what you look like, I feel confident in that room because I can carry on a conversation with you because I've spent time learning from different people and meeting them from where they are.
Yeah.
So when I got to SDSU, bro, it was amazing, but it was no longer so much about football. It was more so about literally trying to grow up, trying to leave something in the soil, trying to find greater relationships and just trying to develop as a man.
Yeah.
And when I'm looking for those things, I noticed that also being young, being in college, cats who away from home from the first time, what they after, that's not necessarily what I'm after. Yeah. But recognize I've been away from home for a year now, Kelly, like the spark of being at a place by yourself for the first time, no curfew. I had been through that. So I was kind of like a little bit more mature. And I was in junior college. So I wasn't used to having people wash my clothes or wash my uniform or getting free cleats, Kelly, or being on a meal plan. So I'm used to surviving on my own in junior. I'm used to working a job in junior college. You know what I'm saying? And so getting all these things, it was more so like, I'm here. I learned from a lot of my teammates who didn't come from much. Yeah. So how can I go into my team and add value to this team?
Yeah.
Not just on the football field, but how can I add value from a leadership standpoint? How can I be a friend? How can I be helpful? How can I serve? That's what I left mindset-wise with JC in my window. When I got to SDSU, it was about taking full advantage of everything SDSU had to offer, and making sure I help my brothers as best as I can. And particularly, no shade, but in particularly the Black men that were on my team.
Yeah.
Because when I looked at other men in my locker room at SDSU, Kelly, I saw my dad.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is I saw people who are first generation college students who may not recognize it all that much, but I saw what it was for my father being a first generation college student and about how it changed the generational curses in my family. Because now all of us as cousins, it wasn't second nature to go to college. We had an uncle, we had a dad who had done it before.
Yeah.
And so I wanted that for those brothers was to, wherever you came from, you here, you got to get across the stage, bro.
Yeah.
And so when I got to SDSU, it wasn't about football anymore. I saw people for where they were, and I wanted to help you get what your family needed so that generational curses could be broken.
That's dope, man. So how were you able to fit that in? How were you able to make that happen? Did that come to pass? Like, how was it on the field and off the field?
Yeah. So lonely off the field.
Yeah.
Because in order to try to be that for somebody else, that means you have to be accountable. That means you can't be screwing up off the field. You can't be late to meetings.
Right.
You can't be the first one out the weight room. You can't be the first one off the football field. You can't push accountability and you not displaying those things. Okay. So with that, I held myself accountable off the field. And a lot of times that was a lot of loneliness because I didn't know. I was so fearful of screwing up because I knew what it was like to have everything and lose it in the back of my mind. I didn't want to get sent back home.
Yeah.
So I didn't know how to necessarily go out on the weekends and have a good time.
Yeah.
Because I was fearful that if I got too close to that bottle, I didn't trust myself in those situations to not go backwards.
Yeah.
So that left out a lot of fun times in college that I missed out on.
Yeah.
On the field, every one of my teammates will always tell you nobody worked harder than TC.
Oh.
And for that, I'm very proud of it. I got moved to fullback when I was in California. And that was tough. But at the same time, what got me through it was understanding that I was in college for a bigger purpose than just ball.
Yeah.
But when I was on the field, I gave you everything that I had and then some. I was a special teams player of the year, like 2 years in a row. I remember my senior year, all of our running backs got hurt. I got pushed into it, and my name made it on Sports Center, which was beautiful. So on the field, it didn't work out from the running back position like I wanted it to, but I still had success there. And I proved to myself that I could play running back and I could play fullback. I could play two positions. I could play special teams and I could excel, meaning like I had no problem being diverse in touching the football field, and I had no pride. My mission was for the red and black, and I was elected a captain. Every year I was captain of my grade level, and as a senior, I was a senior captain, and I was the only one who was a senior captain that wasn't a starter. So that was special. So I enjoyed my time at SDSU. Shoot, Kelly, it didn't always work out on the field like I wanted it to. But I made it to where I don't regret anything, never missing practices, giving my two-a-days, being first in the weight room, last one to leave, being first pulling a tire behind my back after practices, even though I wasn't a starter. I gave the game everything I had in this zone.
With MS. So when did you discover and break down that story? When did you discover you had MS, and how did that happen?
So after BYU, my junior year, I woke up and I literally couldn't feel my arms and my legs, probably about 4 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning.
Wow. So
last game of my junior year, the next day, Sunday morning, I wake up out of bed to use the restroom, and instead I fall flat on my face.
Wow.
Playing a football game, now you can't walk and now you can't talk in less than 24 hours. That's my ratio.
Wow.
So I'm scared. I'm terrified. I don't know what that is. Like, just imagine not being able to feel your limbs or to be able to talk. Like, that's very scary. I was diagnosed with MS the following week at Scripps Memorial Hospital in La Jolla, California. And that's when I learned that it hadn't crossed over in the Black community like that. So because it wasn't a football injury, I was forced to find out about my disease by myself. You got to remember, I don't have no family members out here in Cali. My parents is back. So I'm going through this diagnosis process, spinal taps, MRIs, kind of all by myself. And man, I'll never forget, how scary that was. But like I told you before, when she diagnosed me with MS, my only question was, can I still play ball?
Yeah. And
she said, I've never seen an athlete like you before. Also know that meant never seen it. I read between the lines, bro. That means you never seen a Black person with MS before.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so there's a gray area. And so I knew that I had to do this, not just for me, but for my teammates. That's all I was thinking about. Like, I can't expect them to give their best and I'm not giving my best. That's not going to work. So I put it on the line. I put my body on the line. I suffered from memory losses. So there were times when, even while playing the game, Kelly, I forget the plays, but I could read the linemen and I could read the feet, and I could tell by the weight of the hands on the lineman in my stance if it was a pass or a run. So it's kind of like reading your keys, route combinations, and you could kind of figure out what to do via pre-snap read. I know somebody who ain't know football, they probably thinking this is crazy.
Right.
But those are the things and paralysis, those are the things that I suffered with playing ball. But again, it wasn't about me, Kelly.
Yeah.
It was about giving hope to some young Black male somewhere in the world that could know that you could play a full contact sport like football with MS. And that's really what the mission was. But for me, I also didn't want to let my teammates down. And I signed a letter of intent. No transfer portal, no back down, no quit. You play. I played, and no excuses. So I never told my coaches, I never told my friends I had the disease. I just wanted to put my head down like in high school and just work. That's how I became the first one to play Division I ball with MS. That was it.
Did they ever find out? Like, did your coaches and your friends and all that ever find out? And what did they say? What was their reaction to that?
So still to this day, Kelly, my coaches know, but I never have sat down and had told my coaches, like, yeah, I had MS. Like, never. I had a coach who did one of the quotes on the back of my book, Dale Miller. I never ever, even when I asked Coach Miller to do that for me, I never sat there and said, Coach, I had MS with this back then. I'm not great with attention on me still. I know I'm an inspirational speaker, but I don't know how to always handle attention. It makes me feel like nervous, kind of takes me back to that little kid feeling. the kid who just loved reading comic books and J.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis and being in his room eating honey buns.
Yeah.
I still am very much like that kid. So my teammates, they read the book. They like, oh my gosh, I never knew,
Wow.
And I didn't want to ever be in the light like that. I just wanted to be in the locker room. Yeah, like I'm Earl Campbell's son, so it's hard enough to fit in as it. Like I just always wanted to be a regular cat who put in his work, and then I got my backpack and I left just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's so it's crazy when the people are reading it now and they just like, man, TC, how come you didn't tell us? Like, why didn't you let us know you was going through all of this stuff? And it's just, I probably should have. Kelly might have been an extra shoulder to lean on.
Yeah.
But I just wasn't mature enough. At that point in my life, I wish I could do that over again, but that the biggest thing is they say, oh my gosh, I never knew. And they can't piece together a time frame when I would have let them know.
Yep.
Or they thinking about a game, or they thinking about in the weight room. They can't find a time when they saw MS like peak. And that's also, I'm also happy about that, but I wasn't. They calling, they calling to this day.
Yo, what up? It's your girl JC, and listen, I have to send a special shout out to my guy, Mr. Kelly Cole, and the entire team at Publishing Advantage Group and Books for Athletes. They took so great care of me to the point that I know I'm the pickiest person. This book was supposed to have been finished last summer. However, there were some details that I needed to make sure that the book had because my audience needed it. And, when it comes down to feeding and serving the people, especially as a former athlete, and telling your story, you cannot be selfish with the material and give it away. And they worked with me from the time of my thought process to the time of conception, all the way down to now, top 20 hot release best-selling author on Amazon in 24 hours. Listen, if you're an athlete, you have a story to tell, and you don't know how to put it in book form just yet, don't worry, you're not alone, okay? Hit my guy, Mr. Kelly Cole, and tell him what you're trying to do, and I promise you he gonna get you right, all right? And of course, check me out on Amazon after the season. Shout out to the Books for Athletes family.
Great transition to my next question. So what has a book done for you, and what has been the feedback? Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So people don't know this, man. I heard Kelly probably about a year and a half, maybe even 2 years before I reached out to Kelly. And it was Kelly had given me like the tools to like sit down and how to write a book. He was a guest speaker at this thing called Eric Thomas and Associates Game Changers program. And he was one of our guest speakers. And so he gave the game as to how you write a book, right? And so I wrote down all these notes and I was like, okay, I'm about to do it. And I could never, for 2 years, y'all, I could not write the book. And it was then when I read books, I recognized that when I read biography books, I got a person's whole heart and whole story out of the memoir or out of the biography book that they wrote. They left nothing out on the table. So the reason I couldn't do it, Kelly, was because I hadn't gotten all my apologies to people I'd hurt in my life out. You know what I'm saying? I hadn't traveled that long, dark road of saying, yeah, I remember when I did this to you and I'm so sorry. And vice versa. I hadn't traveled that road in my life of telling people that, you know what, when you did this, that really hurt me. Yeah. Or I appreciate you when you looked out for me. So the reason I couldn't write it is because I hadn't cleared up all of my baggage. And so to help me get out of my baggage, things were starting to crumble for me personally. I wasn't growing. So I had to go through a therapy process to help me with my baggage, because I had wounds that were spilling all over my children, all over my wife, that were unaddressed. Yeah. So when I did that, when I started crying, when I started going through therapy, my heart could breathe. Yeah. And I noticed that when my heart could breathe, that's when I reached out to Kelly, because I felt full and free. I wasn't worried about, will I say this? Will it hurt somebody's feelings? I'd already cleared up all of that stuff. Yeah. My truth had already reigned to every person in that book that I mentioned. So they knew, they remembered, we talked about. So that allowed me to be free, to write, to talk, to do all of that stuff. But it took me a while to get there, Kelly. that's what got me there. So when I got free, I was like, yep, it's time. Yep, it's time. We got to do this. We got to write, because if I die, my children need to be able to feel my words. And I can die tomorrow, and I need to leave them a book so they always will know everything about their dad. Period. In blank.
Fire. So since you got it out, what has been like, man, what has it done for you? Talk about it. Come on, they need to know, man.
Bro, I wish I would have done it years ago. I started speaking when I was 24 years old. I'm 35 years old now, y'all. I wish I could have wrote this book when I was 20. I don't know why. Here's the first thing that I noticed. Even people who I haven't spoken to in a long time, they will buy your book just because people like, they might not like your courses, Kelly. They might not like your t-shirts. They might not. But when you say you got a book, for whatever reason, people buy books. And they don't, like, you know how when you move, like people box up their books and they like the books don't leave. Like people don't throw away books. So when you say you have a book, people, that's the first thing I noticed. When I said I came out with a book, the people within my inner circle, I'm just talking about inner circle, let's talk about family. They were like, oh my gosh, we're going to buy the book. And I was like, man, I had face masks. I got wristbands. People wouldn't buy my real life, real talk wristbands to support my radio show. But Kelly, when I got a book,
talk about it.
It was like done. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Kelly, you might know. And so then here's the deal. As a speaker, again, I'm trying to push face masks and wristbands and all t-shirts. When they found out these engagements that I have a book, they're like, oh, we can bring you in to speak and then you can sell your books. Or you know what? That book will go great into our seminar or our theme of our conference. I'm going to buy books for my employees. And I'm like, I've been speaking for you for all these years. And you never threw that type of money at me before.
Yeah.
And it's so there, it has opened up more doors. And then watch this, Kelly, the people who wouldn't take me on as a speaker, right, for credential purposes. Then when I said I'm an author, not just an inspirational, when I said author and inspirational speaker, it's like it gives you some type of, je ne sais quoi. I have no idea, Kelly, I can't describe it.
I try to.
So I've gotten more gigs off of a book. I don't even know if everybody reading the book, Kelly. I have no idea. So I've gotten more gigs. I've made more money in my time with the company. And people have been more willing to also allow me to, if they don't want to buy my book, they let me sell my book. So then I'm adding further income into my pocket than just a speaker's fee. Yeah. And then even when people haven't known that I'm a speaker, the ones that did get the book, they'll bring you in to speak, who weren't even on my radar, but they are, they find books for conferences. They find books for gift packages. They're in a whole different industry than pharma and MS. And they want you to, I don't know. You can speak on that better than I have, but it has opened up more doors. And people are just more inclined to buy a book than I got t-shirts, y'all. I got a whole box of t-shirts in my garage, and I'm selling books. That's what I'm doing. I'm selling books.
I'm telling you, bro. Thank you for saying it. Remember my presentation, like you said, at the ETA thing, I was like, yo, if you're a speaker and you don't have a book, you're leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table. That was one of my quotes. And you just said it. Thank you for driving it home, man. It's just something about when you have that book.
Man, yeah. And I'll tell y'all, and Kelly will speak to this. I had an engagement for a company I've been speaking to since I was 25 years old. Mm-hmm. Speaking for many a times. They paid me a speaker's fee. And then they also bought over $4,000 worth of my books for their employees. And that was just one customer. That was one customer, and never had done that, that never upped my speaking fee to equal that. But because I had a book and they could tie it into a conference, or they could send it to all their employees, all 300 and whatever employees.
Yeah.
They paid me all that money, Kelly. And it was nothing. It's easy, this process, shipping books to Amazon. All I did, Kelly, was ship my books to Amazon. I ordered the quantity they wanted, charged them the price that I wanted, that they agreed to, and I hit that ship button to their address, and they arrived on time for their gift wrapping it wasn't no books kept in my back my garage next to my t-shirts. It wasn't me going to UPS with all these doggone books and boxing them. Out here with Amazon, boom, send them, ship. And they were so happy as to how easy it was.
Wow.
We did our transaction and books gone.
Dope. All right. So I want to back up just a little bit.
Yeah.
What was it like to hold it in your hand for the first time? Can you talk about that?
Oh, yeah.
You showed your dad and your family.
No, I cried. And understand, like, by this time in editing, I've read the book so many times on my screen.
Yeah.
And edited and revised and forgotten this and forgotten that. By the way, y'all made that process so easy because we all first time authors, whatever. It's new, but the patience there, and then to hold it, to see the artwork of the cover, even before flipping it open, I had tears in my eyes. And y'all see this. I'm gonna turn the camera. I got bookshelves back here. I got bookshelves on all we read in this house. I'm a big reader.
Yeah.
I have other people's books on my shelf.
Yeah.
So I was in tears because the ball came out right from the other side of the field and it says Tyler Campbell on there. That's my name, Kelly.
Yeah.
My name is in the same category over here as the TD Jakeses of the world, the C.S. Lewis's, the Dr. Kings.
Yeah.
I have a book too. And so I cried. And I know this book is coming. I know when my proof is coming. I know it's about to be here. I've read the words, like,
right.
But to hold it.
Yeah.
I cried.
Yeah.
That meant more to me as that nerdy kid who valued books. That meant more to me than anything.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like when you showed it to your family.
Oh, so my wife, she was just kind of in and out, right? I kind of kept a lot of my editations private because I knew this book was going to be something that I was proud of. Yeah. Forget anybody else. Can I say this, Kelly? I wrote that book for me.
Yeah.
My family, my kids, I wanted them to have it, but at the core of it, I wrote the book to free me. Because I worked through my baggage. So the book was for me, and then I wanted to leave something for my kids. And so, man, my wife was blown away by the artwork. My wife read my book from cover to cover to me. Mm. We read our book. I read my book every night for like 3 days straight, however long it took. And she read my entire book to me.
Wow.
And that was so special. And then my son and my daughter, I wrote them, signed their own copies and put them on their shelves. Yeah. They have a special message in there for themselves. And then I did career day at my son's school, Kelly.
Wow.
And I donated my book to my kid's library because he wanted his dad's book in his elementary school. Wow. And so a 5th grade kid checked out my book.
Wow.
And he came up to my 3rd grade son and told him, hey, I got the book your dad talked about in career day on Zoom.
Wow.
And so it's like the gift that keeps on giving. And it's the power of reading. I think it's gotten me the closest to understanding why it meant so much for my people in slave times to learn how to read.
Yep.
Because it's so incredibly powerful. Yep. And it changes things. It changes people.
Yep.
So that's kind of the moment I'm at, because the book, it changes things. It just does. It just changes. It changes everything. So it's the gift that keeps on giving, Kelly. That's all I can say.
What did your dad say when he finally saw it?
Oh man, bro, so his first words were wow. And he's a Kindle reader. He loves the tablet. So he read it on the Kindle, had that early, before the boy came out. But when he actually got to hold it, because my mama ordered, a couple copies, but when he got to hold it, he was like, oh man, this ain't just no rinky dinky book. He was like, this stuff look professional. Y'all got an artist on the cover and the cursive writing. And I hadn't told him the title, until he got the Kindle version. And he was like, oh my gosh, I get it. And that was the thing. Like, the story didn't just start from the time you open the page. The story starts with the cover.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know if y'all seen these covers that y'all do. And I know that because, going on the site, and if you look at other people's covers and the testimonials and the list, you'll see that as much as the writing is, y'all don't do a slouch job with covers. I mean, my cover is fire. I ain't playing, bro. Like, my cover is fire.
It's fire. Yeah, man.
It's fire.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Last thing, man. How was it working with Books for Athletes? How was it working with them?
So number one, I'm ready to write another book. Not ready, but I know I'm writing another book. Gotcha. Okay. And I know I'm writing another book because I've overcome the fear of I can't write a book. Like, it's going to require so much. And that whole picking up, starting and stopping, picking up is none of that. And the coaches are so savvy. Like, here's the deal. There may be some stuff that you think is there that you got to get out and put there, but they're savvy enough to say, no, I'm not going to let you do that, because given the people you're trying to reach with this book, that point may not hit, but this other one that you think won't hit, that's the one you got to put in here, right? So it's not just about you, doing all that stuff too. It's about actually getting coaching. Yeah. And for me, that's how I responded, because I've been coached. Yeah. So with Books for Athletes, it wasn't looked at as criticism. This was constructive. So it was like taking me back to athletics, and I had my coach, and my coach talking about, listen, we got to drive this lane, and we got to set up over here so that the linebackers overrun. So if they pursue that way, we hit them with this punch line that you said over here, and your cutback lane is all the way left. Fire. You know what I'm saying? And so that's when you're by yourself, you're in your own head, and you just don't know. And when you don't know, that's keeping you from giving your full heart into the book. Yeah. Man, I was free, Kelly. So my heart could be free. And then that constructive criticism from coaching, Books for Athletes, bro, I embrace that. I'm an athlete still. So it trained my mind. The book process was fun. Do y'all hear me? Like, I had a blast. And then getting one chapter. Once you get your first chapter underneath your belt, you'll be ready to get to the next chapter. And then you'll be setting up your story. And it just flows, man. So that's why I tell people, now that I got the fear out the way, I'm already thinking about what's the next one. Yeah. What's the next one gonna be, Kelly? That's kind of how it is. Like, this one is done, and I'm gonna ride this till the wheels fall off. Yeah. But in my mind, I'm already thinking about what's the next one going to be.
Yeah.
What's the next one?
It never stops. Me and Doc have these conversations all the time. We'll be like, bro, we can't write every book that comes to our mind. Like, it doesn't stop. I just want you to know, it doesn't stop. Once you get the book writing bug, you got it. It's in you.
Here's my ultimate dream, because I love Tolkien and I love C.S. Lewis. And I love the fact that Tolkien like invented his own language and created these heroes. And one day, that might be the fourth book. That might be further down the line. But one day, my eyes on the prize, Kelly, I'm going to come out with a science fiction superhero type, off the wall, happy 12-year-old comic book Tyler. One day it's coming. It's going to be off the wall. Nobody going to get it. But by the time those books have come, people know that at my heart, I love superheroes.
Yep.
So it's like you already setting the population of people up.
Yep.
For when it's coming, Kev. It's coming. We got a couple more books before then, but it's coming.
Yo, would you recommend others working with us, bro?
1000%, brother. And then some. And stop wasting your time. Stop getting in your own way, because we need what you have. And that's why this thing is so special, because they pull out what other people need. I'll never forget. Doc told me this. He said, Tyler, you have been broken so your pieces can feed the masses. And so your journey and your story and however bad it hurt, you were broken so that this book that you come out with could feed and touch more people than you could have ever imagined. So stop wasting your time and start coming to Books for Athletes, and let's go so we can grow, baby.
Let's go, man. You can't close it out no better than that. Tell the people where they can find you, where they can book you to speak, all of that, man.
Man, listen, I am tylercampbell.com is where you can always go and peruse the website and book for speaking on social media, on all platforms. I am TC Speaks 32. T is in Tom, C is in Cat, Speaks with an S, and the number 32. And yeah, stop waiting. Stop waiting. Just go ahead and sign up, baby. Do what you got to do. Sign up. Hey, Kelly, you know me. I was so into it. I paid before the deadline was up.
You did.
Because I already knew it was fire when I first started. I already knew it was a home run.
You did. He was like, yo, bro, I just want to go ahead, bro. Y'all kill it. He was doing the crazy. You hadn't even saw the cover yet.
No, it was because the process. That's why I tell people, because it's so much of a joy. You're really going to love what you're doing. It made me pay before.
Thank you so much for your time, bro. I appreciate it so much. We can do this all night, but I don't want to
love you, man.
Bro. Appreciate you. All right. Thank you so much for checking out this episode of the Books for Athletes podcast. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, and leaving us reviews. And be sure, if you're interested and you want to get your book done, make sure you check out our free case study video at www.booksforathletes.com. Also, if you'd like for me to come to speak to your students, or you're having an event and you need a speaker, I would love to be a part of it. Just shoot me an email at booksforathletes.com. Until then, we'll see you on the next episode.